Welcome to the 2 Feet First Entrepreneur Podcast. I am so thrilled that you are here joining me today for this episode. Today's episode is about 3 systems to put into place now in your business. Now, there are many systems that you can put in place in your business, and you should put lots of systems in your business. But I want to share 3 that are essential for any business that wants to be successful. So that's what we're going to talk about is 3. And those 3 are task management, accounting, and automation. So we're going to hurry and break down each one of these. So first, we're going to talk about task management. And task management will help you keep track of all the moving parts in your business. A good task management system will allow you to delegate tasks, set deadlines, and track progress. Okay, so this will make your life easier. It's going to be a lifesaver when you're trying to run a business on your own, especially. And if you don't have someone that manages all those little details for you, it's a must because you need to know where things are and how close they are to be getting done. Now, you might be wondering, well, that's great, but what are the best task management systems for a small business? Which one should I use? And I'm going to hurry and name a few. There is Asana, Trello, Monday.com, ClickUp, Notion, Airtable. And honestly, there's so many more, but that's where I'm going to kind of end it because everyone is different and each one of those offers something slightly different, but they're also very similar. So you need to determine what is going to work best for you and your business. There are different ones that will function better for certain niches too. So make sure you kind of do your research on that. But I just want you to know that what works for me might not work for you. But there are some key things that you do want your task management system to do. So that first, the first thing is you need to be able to organize your thoughts on that. Think of it as a brainstorming session. I know lots of people say that they just use their notes in their phones to drop everything in, but I cannot tell you how important it is to have a spot, a task management system that allows you to drop everything into. And so with that, you're going to want one that has an app that you can put on your phone and you can quickly add to it. That's what I have. It allows me to just hurry and put ideas down. Maybe if you don't even have time for that, you do put it in your notes of your phone, but from there you can transfer it into something that you're going to be able to see. And with this too, this also applies to the other system that I'll talk about later, but it's going to help you with automation as well. So I highly recommend that you have a spot to put your brainstorming ideas. And this could be brainstorming ideas for a future project. Maybe it's a social media, maybe it's a paid service that you want to offer. And each of those would actually be in their own list of brainstorming. So make sure you kind of divide things up too so that they're easy to find because you don't want to keep scrolling through everything. And that reminds me that I haven't ever talked about that. So we're going to have to talk about that in another episode about organizing your business and how important it is to store stuff in a certain way. So we'll talk about that in another episode. So look for it in the future. But just remember that you want to be able to find things. So make sure you're labeling things to work with you, that you would know where things are at. What works for me might not work for you. And I am finding that with people that I'm working with. I show them my example and they look at it and say, well, I would name it this, not that. And that's totally fine. That's exactly what you should be doing. You should make it work for you because it's your business, it's your software program, and it's what you want. Okay. So don't let anybody tell you that you have to name it a certain thing. You don't have to. Do what works for you. Okay. So first off, it's help you organize your thoughts. And with that, it's also going to help you track the progress of your projects. So this will allow you to move them to different statuses as you go through different things. It allows you to set deadlines for things. So for example, inside my business for this podcast, for example, I have different statuses that a project episode has to go through before it goes into full production or before it's sent out to you. So one of those things is that I like to do some research to see if I'm answering all the questions that people might have, also some keywords with that. Then after that, I have to write my script for it. And then it goes into the recording stage, which is what we're doing right now. After that, it goes into an editing stage. From there, oh my gosh, I should actually have this up on my computer so I can see it so I don't miss anything for you guys. That's what I'm going to hurry and do. Time out for 1 second while I hurry and open this up so that I can share with you guys what they're actually called. Okay, I'm back yet again. So they first start off in a list that is called New Ideas for my podcast. So that's my brainstorming one. From there, they move to the keyword planning, which we already talked about. And then it moves to the writing, the record, and then I have a tab to upload the media file to my VA because I have a VA that does my editing of the episode for me. And it also sends it to my editor so that my editor can do my show notes for me. And then after that, I have to approve some edits and make sure everything's good. And then they finish their final stuff on it. And then it goes into being scheduled and put into production once that schedule's hit. So that's kind of my breakdown of my process and my statuses inside just my podcast. So I also have different ones for social media, for example. So let me hurry and jump over there so I can tell you what those statuses are, because those are slightly different. And I clicked the wrong button, of course. So for those, I add them to a spreadsheet, which inside the spreadsheet, I determine what kind of content it is. I determine what I'm going to say, the caption for it. Once that's done, which is another status, it then comes back into my task manager under and then I have a status of setting the calendar. So what are the due dates for it? And then I create the actual I create the actual image, whatever it's going to be. If it's a reel, it's a video. And then it goes into ready to post. And then it goes to be scheduled at that point. So that is kind of some ideas on how those work inside my business and the different statuses that you can have for yours as well. Next, after that, you want to be able to allow sharing with others. So I talked a little bit about I have some VAs. So it allows me to send those tasks to the VAs where they can complete stuff and organize stuff, and I can see where they're at on everything. So it's basically an open communication. Everybody sees what everybody's doing. There's no, well, did you finish this? Because it lets me know when they're done with things. So it just allows you to easily share between other people. And then the very last thing that you're going to want it to do is be able to show you, and maybe this is just personal, but I like to see a calendar view. I want to see when things are happening. I can shuffle things around inside the calendar view itself rather than just on a list view. It's just the way my brain works. I love the calendar view. And I just realized that I didn't even mention what task manager I actually use. So I started out with Trello. It's the one that I started out on. And when I was using it, I wasn't using automation. And so that was about 3 years ago that I was using Trello. And I was using it mainly just to share content with my editor VA that does all the editing behind the scenes of making sure that my text sounds good, there's no spelling errors, that kind of stuff. So that was what I was using it for, was mainly just to share it to that person. I wasn't keeping track of where things are at. It was just being sent to her so that way she could see it and all that fun stuff. That was when I decided that I needed something more robust. I needed to start using automation inside my business. And so where I went was to ClickUp. But I want to mention ClickUp doesn't do fully everything that I want it to do. So I also use Airtable for the keyword planning side of things. So I do use ClickUp and Airtable, but Airtable, very, very minimal. Everything really happens in ClickUp. Airtable is just one little step of it that automatically comes back into ClickUp. So I do use ClickUp. That is what I use for my task management software. And I know that Asana and I think Monday.com are very similar to ClickUp. I personally tried out Asana. I don't think I tried Monday.com, but I tried Asana and I just like the feel better of ClickUp. So don't let me sway you on which one to use. Use the one that just feels the best to you, but make sure you are using it because there's a very big benefit in using a tracking system to track your tasks, to see where you're at, to be able to share with people, and just to be able to manage it all together. Because I cannot tell you how nice it is when you sit down in the morning or whenever you're sitting down to start something, you can see where you're at with certain things and what you need to do to finish them. Rather than before, I might have had it on a paper somewhere, but who knows where that paper was. Now I can actually keep track of everything. And so that's why this is number one on my list of systems that you need to start using. And with that, we're going to transition into number two, which is an accounting system. And I talked about this in another episode, but an accounting system is critical for tracking your income and expenses and keeping your financial records in order. Okay, so if you want to have a successful business, you need to have an accounting system. You need to have it. You cannot run a business without it. Okay, you might be able to, but it's not going to last very long. Let's be honest. So you need an accounting system, whatever it may be. And that means, it could be a software, and I'm pretty sure you probably have the question of what accounting software is best for an online entrepreneur. And again, here it goes. It depends on your budget and your comfort level. Okay. So certain things cost money, certain things don't, certain things are more robust, certain things are super simple. So it really depends on what you want. There are online programs out there like QuickBooks, which you probably heard of it. That's like one of the biggest ones. FreshBooks, Xero, Wave, and there's so many more. Okay. So many more. I personally do not use any of those. I use Google Sheets to track all of my accounting software or my accounting. And so Google Sheets is the system that I use to keep track of my accounting. And the reason why I use it is many reasons. It's because when I first started using it, I needed free. And so I created a spreadsheet to work for my business and the way I function. And I did mimic it off of QuickBooks. So it's kind of like a QuickBooks. And okay, I don't think anybody knows this, but when I graduated high school and went into college, I was pursuing being an accountant. Okay. Don't worry, I just discovered that was really not where I was supposed to be. I do love numbers. I do love systems. I love different software programs. I love all of that. And so that's why I went into accounting. But I decided it wasn't for me. But I did do my Google spreadsheet is very similar to an accounting ledger that you would have seen if you would have done accounting in college, like the very basic classes. They make you do a ledger where you put in your income and your expenses. That's essentially what my Google spreadsheet looks like. And there's one for each month, but then it all comes together in different areas to give me my tax for the year, how much I paid for my VAs for certain things. And it also does tracking for my stats inside my business. It does so many things. So that's why I chose to use it. And I talked about it in episode 7. I talked about this book called Profit First, which is basically an envelope system with bank accounts. And that is also how I use my accounting system. And that's why this spreadsheet works so well, is because I'm also doing that. So don't think that I'm just doing the spreadsheet. The Profit First system and the spreadsheet work hand in hand to make it super easy for me to manage my accounting system. And I'm going to hurry and kind of walk you through my spreadsheet and what it kind of looks like. So if you are listening to this on the podcast, be sure, if you want to see what this looks like, be sure to jump over to Facebook. Or not Facebook, oh my gosh. Be sure to jump over to YouTube to get an idea of what this looks like and how you can implement it into your business. Also, if it's something that you are interested in, maybe having it for your business, reach out to me, DM me, because I would love to hear if this is something that everybody wants. So I'm going to hurry and walk you through this. I have 2 types. First off, my first type is a standard business statement template. And I will note, I don't know what it is like outside of the United States. It could be different for other countries. So just to note, this is the template. This is the accounting system that works really well for the United States. The standard one that I have is just for a sole entrepreneur. You probably just have an LLC. And that's it. The one that I'm using currently is an S Corp one. So I'm going to kind of walk through both of those and how they're kind of different and different things like that. So in the first area of this spreadsheet, I have something called sources. And this is where I would label out, for example, my affiliates that I have, my ad networks, sponsors that I am consistently working with, my own products or services, and then I have my independent contractors list and the item, which is like an expense. So that's an expense one. I should relabel that because that's kind of confusing. And inside of my S Corp one, I added a new one called clients. So just so you kind of know, that is what that kind of looks like. From the standard one, I also have another tab that talks about the different type of expenses categories that I have. And this is actually these expense categories. I took these from the way that you file in the United States. This is based off of the IRS. The sheet, I think it's like a Schedule C, but it's for your own business. Cannot remember what it's called off the top of my head. I should have done my research beforehand, but it's based off that. This information comes from the IRS or comes from QuickBooks or one of the reputable accounting programs that breaks down these different types. And so, for example, one type is advertising, and another one is commission and fees, contract labor, insurance, legal services, or professional services. So that's kind of those expenses types, just so you kind of have an idea on that. And I don't have that in my S Corp one because the way that my accountant actually told me how to do things was slightly different. And so I have a ton of different categories in addition to those ones that I just told you. They break them down really into detail for an S Corp. And so I have those all listed in my sources inside of that S Corp one. So after that, we move to each month. And inside each month, there's a date, the payee or item, and then it breaks down the income source, which could be a client, ad network, sponsored, my own products. And then I have an independent contractor tab, which when you do this, I have a click down area that would pull up those different sources that you already typed in on that first tab. So you enter that in, you put in what type of expense it is or income, and then you put in the amount inside of either income or expenses. And you just do this for the whole month. And once your month is over, or once you've entered something in, it does add up into other tabs. So it just talks to each other throughout the whole spreadsheet. So for example, I have another one that's called Independent Contractor Summary, where if I clicked on that, it shows me the breakdown. It would give me the name of the contractor and breakdown per month, how much I paid them, and then tell me how much I paid them for the whole year. And this is beneficial because at the end of the year, you have to do a 1099 for them. I think there's a little more to that now. They renamed it, but it's a 1099. And so from here, this is where I could put this into that 1099. I'd have my exact total here. There's also another tab called Income Received, which tells me the breakdown of how much money I have made for the year. It breaks it down per affiliates, ad network sponsors, my own products, and it does break it down to, I have a spot where it tells you how much you made for each quarter, and you can compare this year's and last year's inside of there. And there's another tab that's called Percentage of Total Revenue. So it breaks down how much percentage you're making off of affiliates for all your income. So it kind of tells you, maybe if you're worried like, oh, my ad network, I feel like I'm making a lot from there, you would know how much you're making percentage wise out of all your income, and maybe where you can start supplementing different to disperse your income. The next one is just a summary of everything. It just breaks down your income and your expenses. The one after that is a tax one. So you will have to pay taxes for your city most likely. And so this helps you determine how much tax you need to pay per quarter for that. And then the one after that, the tab after that, is the tax statement. And these will look different between the S Corp one and just the standard business one. But basically what it does is it shows you your business, or your taxable business profit for the year, your total income right below that, and then a whole area where all your expenses are tallied up. And it's exactly the same the way inside the standard business one. It just is a lot smaller. And also on that page, there is a profit margin for the year where you want to have a goal of 50% or more. So this would tell you if you are spending too much on expenses, just to kind of give you a quick note on that. After that, I have an account breakdown, and this helps me be able to use the profit first method. And so if you're wondering what that is, be sure to jump over there because I do talk about that in more detail on episode 7. From there, I think they're kind of different. Nope, the next one's a monthly budget. Each of them have a monthly budget just so you can kind of see where you're spending money every month. Then there's an income tracker tab, which we all know as content creators, we don't get paid all the time with certain things right when you make it. So for example, with affiliates, you normally don't get paid for 60 to 90 days after, same with ad networks and even sponsored. So this is where you can keep track of when you actually made that, and you can kind of reference back and forth between this and your income actually received on how much you should be making. And then I have a product tracker for yourself on what you're making. There's a table and graphs area, a data tracker, which tracks how you're doing inside your business in itself. And that is exactly what my spreadsheet looks like. So that was a lot of information. And if you really want to see it in detail, make sure you go to the YouTube channel to be able to see that, because it is on that. And with that, we're going to move into number 3, because that was a lot. Number 3, and just so you know, I know it feels like a lot, but I only get on there once a month to do my my accounting for for my business. My business doesn't have a whole lot going on to it, so I can do it once a month. You might choose to do it twice a month, but you shouldn't do more than that. And so I get on, and it takes me 30 minutes to an hour to do my accounting for the whole month. So just make sure you get on there once a month or twice a month just to keep it updated, and it'll be super easy to manage if you keep doing that. Okay, so number three. Number three is automated systems. Now, automated systems save you a lot of time, energy, and hassle because they automate the repetitive tasks, so the things that you're doing over and over and over again. Automation can also help you scale your business without having to hire someone. So, for example, there's things that I'm doing with automation inside my business that if I wasn't using automation, it would take me more time to do. So I'd probably have to hire someone to help me with some other tasks because I wouldn't have enough time to get it all done. So automation just allows you to do things that you would otherwise maybe have to hire someone to do. So you might be wondering then, what are some of the most common tasks that can be automated in a small business? Okay, I have an episode, it's episode 5, that shares 2 simple ways to automate your email. So that talks about different ways that you can automate your email, which is using templates inside your email and filters. So there are 4 types of automation. There is self-automation, there is template automation, there is process automation, and there is tech automation. Normally, when we think of automation, we're thinking of the tech side of automation, which is, for example, one that you're probably doing is your email sequences, your welcome emails that you're sending out to people. That's an automation. So that's similar to what we're talking about here. The email one that I'm talking about, the 2 simple ways, is different. It's managing your personal email where things come into your business itself and using templates to respond to people and also filter things into different categories so it saves you time or a step later on. So that's how you do that. There's also, you can create templates inside your business. So think of this as, I have a template in place for when I'm going to do a episode, a YouTube or, YouTube or podcast or whatever it is. For my case, it's both in this instance. And so I have a template in place that has all the details that I need, or I guess I don't do it. My editor does it. So she gets on there. It's a template. She starts it up, and all she has to do is rename it, drag in the video clips for this, and start editing away because everything else is in there. All the aspects are already put in. There's presets in there. There's coloring that's already set up for her. It just makes the process so much quicker in developing it. There's also templates that I have to create my outline for my podcast. I have a template done up for that, which then brings us into the next way that you can use it, which is a software program called Zapier. It allows different apps to talk to each other, different programs to talk to each other. So for example, you could have your task management system talk to another system. In this case, you could have your task management system talk to Google Docs, where it creates a template. So you already have a template in place, but it creates a document from a template and then brings it back, the URL back to your task management so you can easily find it. So in my case, what I do is I have an outline template of my podcast and how I like to run through things. And so inside of ClickUp, when I'm ready to do that, it automatically, Zapier creates this zap that creates this template creates this doc for me from the template and then brings it back to me. And I don't have to do any of that work. I just have to click a button to change it to a different status and it does it for me. Okay. So that's just one little example on how that works. If you want to hear more about how to do that or actually learn how to do it yourself, I do have a course that's coming out soon. It's called The Automated Assistant, and the waitlist is open right now. So if you're interested in that, be sure to jump over there and sign up for the waitlist. I do have enrollment opening, like I said, soon, but enrollment only happens a few times a year. So make sure you're on that waitlist so you do not miss out when it happens, because CART is open only for 10 days when it does open up. So make sure you join that waitlist. I will link to that in the description. So if you're interested in that, make sure you jump over there because I am just touching the surface on all the possibilities with it. I mean, every day I am finding something new normally that I can use Zapier for to automate areas in my business. So I encourage you to start looking at it. If you don't want to take my course, just make sure you start researching it. It will take a lot more time that way because I have been doing this for over 2 years now. And I just want to help you by sharing what I know and get you started in it. And with that, that's all I have for you today. So let's do a quick recap of what we learned today. So we learned that it's important, the 3 essential important tasks that you need to, or systems that you need to start putting in place inside your business is a task management system, an accounting system, and an automation system. And these are essential for any online entrepreneur. These 3 systems will make running your business much easier and more efficient. If you don't have them in place now, it's time to get started today. So don't worry, you're not behind. You're just starting out. It's just fine. But implementing these systems will help you save time, energy, and money in the long run. And with that, I will see you on the next episode.